Hello students, welcome to the EVS online class. Today we will start a new chapter, that is chapter 5, and the name of the chapter is Response of Living Beings to Changes in Environment. Children, all of you know that our surrounding is our environment, and this environment has a great effect on the living things which live in it. The place where the organisms live is known as the habitat. Organisms live in diverse types of habitats. Habitats remain under continuous influences of their surrounding environments. Any change in the environment is sure to cause a change in the conditions of a habitat, and organisms living in that habitat are bound to change themselves accordingly. We know that every day is followed by night and every night is followed by a day. In the same way, changes occur in seasons also. Changes remain occurring in the natural environment through the whole year, and organisms living in their specific habitats have to adjust with changing conditions of the environment. Environmental changes occur periodically and set a pattern, but sometimes there are abrupt changes in the environment. Many organisms fail to adjust those changes and they die off. Those organisms who manage to survive develop special modifications in their bodies to survive in the changing environment in future also. Thus, there is a constant struggle for survival in nature. In this lesson, we are going to study about responses of organisms to changes in environment and about adaptations of organisms in different types of habitats. Organisms often plan their life cycles according to periodic changes, but sudden changes like storm, earthquake, etc. don't give them time to plan and protect themselves. During summer and other warm months, animals live comfortably, eat food, multiply in numbers. During winter, most cold-blooded animals like frogs, snakes, etc. evade the changes and hibernate. On the other hand, warm-blooded animals like birds and mammals have fur or feather on their bodies to protect them from cold. They may also move under a shelter to pass the cold nights. Some types of birds and fishes leave a particular environment if its conditions become unfavorable and again come back when its conditions become normal. When birds leave a particular habitat and fly away to some other habitat, we call it emigration or migration. Their arrival in the new type of habitat is called immigration. We see that flowering of different plants occurs during different seasons. In the same way, we observe particular types of birds nesting in particular seasons. Squirrel and rats gather food for adverse days. Thus, every organism plans and lives with proper adjustment or adaptation to environmental changes. Now, we know that conditions of a habitat remain changing abruptly and periodically. Abrupt changes often do not give time to an organism to get ready and face the challenge. As such, the organisms can survive only when it has sufficient abilities to tolerate these changes. Periodic changes form a pattern and they occur again and again at more or less fixed intervals. Under these conditions, an organism gets sufficient time to develop abilities of tolerance. Such an ability is the ability of hibernation. Organisms have to undergo various types of structural and functional modifications so as to tolerate the different types of environmental changes. Those structural and functional modifications that enable an organism to adjust in a particular environment in which it lives are known as adaptation. So we can say that the process which enables an organism to adjust to their environment in order to ensure survival is their adaptation. Plants grow in different types of habitats like deserts, plains, mountains, fresh water, marine water, and wetlands. Plants growing in these habitats differ in structure and functions from habitat to habitat. Now, we will discuss about the adaptations in plants. So first we will discuss about the adaptation in xerophytic plant. Plants growing in deserts and sandy hills are known as xerophytes. Some xerophytic plants are opuntia or cactus, agave, acacia, etc. There are some important adaptations found in xerophytes or desert plants. These plants usually develop very long roots. Their long roots go to deep in search of water. These plants have fleshy stems and less or no leaves to survive in dry and hot conditions. For example, spiny leaves of cactus minimize the surface area and loss of water through transpiration. Stems of these plants are usually covered with thick waxy layer to reduce the water loss. Some xerophytic plants have green stems which help to make their food by the process of photosynthesis. So we can see that is the desert plants have special roots which help them to absorb water from the deep of the ground. They have special leaves and stems which help them to store water, and the leaves are modified to spines and thorns to protect them from thirsty animals. So children, today this much. In our next class, we will learn about more adaptation in plants. Thank you children. Stay safe and happy.